Well, it's not every day that you have a national champion on the show. And guys, we are so happy to be joined by Noah Caldwell, the deep snapper, a member of the 2021 national champions, Sam Houston State, out of the FCS. Noah, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. And again, thank you so much for coming on. It's really an honor. Again, we have an actual national champion from one of the most historic college football seasons ever, without a doubt. And Noah, I think the first question we just have to ask you here is, how does it feel to be a national champion?
Well, so far it feels great. The whole situation still hasn't sunk in for me, to be honest with you. The whole season being dragged out for abnormally long, the whole thing just felt all weird, I guess. But with each day that goes by and seeing all the gear being passed out, it's beginning to settle in.
Yeah, I'm sure to become a part of just winning a national championship period is a big deal. But you just became a member of the first ever national championship team in Sam Houston history in a spring season that was only played due to COVID. And so just, I guess, touch a little bit on that too. To be a part of such a historic team because this was your first one in program history.
Right. Well, the whole entire week leading up to the South Dakota State game in Frisco, our coach, Casey Keeler, he always comes in with a good little pep talk or story to, prepare us for the week of practice. And this story stuck out a lot, especially to him. He came to us and gave us a little flashback of him many years ago going up to Michigan's home stadium. And he was just telling us one day he looked up and saw the banners and it said 1901, 1902. 3 and 4, I think, as well. And it said national champions. And he just came to us and said, look, guys, this is like, y'all are here. Y'all might as well finish it. This is a big deal. This is the big word that was being thrown around was immortality. And as the week went on and we all began to realize what a big deal this is, that really started to settle in. And we just thought to each other, hey man, if we finish this thing strong and actually complete this, we really are immortal. Like they will create our own banner for 2020, and it would be the only year up there. And I feel like that really pushed us to play hard against South Dakota State.
That's awesome. That's a heck of a story, and exactly right. You're ingrained in history now, not just for the school, but for college football history too. People aren't going to forget that. And I want to talk about that national championship game, and then we'll kind of dive into the playoff run too. But against South Dakota State in Frisco, which I know is your hometown, you guys were leading for the majority of that game, and I know they took the lead there. Isaiah Davis put the team on his back and took the lead for the Jackrabbits. There was about 5 minutes left, and then I just kind of want to know what your mindset was kind of in those final 5 minutes, because this was nothing new to you guys. Over the course of your playoff run, you had trailed many times before and ended up coming back and winning in the fourth quarter. So as a deep snapper, first off, what was going through your mind those final 5 minutes? What was the mindset of the team? What was your mindset, I know, on that final PAT there towards the end? Kind of everything there in those final minutes of the national championship.
Right. So specifically the final 5 minutes, whenever he broke out that 80-something yard touchdown run, it was definitely a stab in the chest. Especially to our fans. The fans died down a lot after that. But just the energy seemed a little bit low, but like you said, it's nothing we haven't experienced. We've gone through a lot this season. Specifically, we don't have a locker room, we all of that stuff. But sticking to the actual game, if you look back, first round of the playoffs, we had to seal it with a pick in the end zone. And then next week it was North Dakota State, then JMU. It just seems that this specific squad was put in so many positions to fail, and these guys just find a way to get it done. So honestly, yes, it was a stab in the chest, and our hearts started to flutter a little bit, but in the end, I honestly felt like we would come out on top, like we have the 3 prior weeks. And the PAT, man, I don't know, I was shaking, not because I'm nervous, but because I was just so happy. What a drive, crazy drive. And we were all just so excited.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've watched you guys all year long. We've covered you all year long, and you guys have had one of the most, if not the most prolific offense in the FCS. So, they scored a touchdown about 5 minutes left, and to see you guys milk almost that entire 5 minutes to get the touchdown for a team that relied so heavily on the home run ball and relied on those big plays, I mean, that was surreal. I mean, that was one of the better drives. I mean, and a couple fourth down conversions in there as well. I mean, I know Jaquez Ezzard, absolutely a beast. Eric Schmid, absolute beast. I mean, talk a little bit about them too, because these are guys we could very well see at the next level, along with you possibly as a deep snapper too. So just the kind of the chemistry you had with those two, just the bond I guess you had with them and the team as a whole.
Right. So Eric has been here. He's been here since he was a freshman. We just kind of we discovered him last year. He broke his hand. I think it was week 2 or 3. So he was out of the story. Eric's he's a good guy, hard worker, very quiet, a lot like Jaquez. So Jaquez transferred in here, super quiet the whole time. No one really knew what he was about. He's people like to call him the silent assassin, right? So he comes to practice. He's always, off to the side by himself, doing his own thing, doing his own pre-practice rituals, stuff like that. They have, it's kind of ironic considering that they're both very quiet individuals, but they work extremely well together in practice. There's never, all of the keys are there. They don't ever screw up, especially whenever it's that specific duo. But yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, but y'all were just so much fun to watch. You could really tell. I mean, just chemistry-wise, together as a team. And I think that kind of comes together. That next question about probably the most historic and maybe most difficult playoff run we've ever seen from a team. Because you guys, you were the number 2 overall seed in these condensed playoffs. I know that wasn't as big as they've been in the past. But the fact that you were able to take down the likes of North Dakota State and James Madison and South Dakota State all in consecutive weeks is just absolutely ridiculous, let alone having to come from behind to win those games. So I guess just kind of briefly touch on not each of those opponents, but what that stretch meant to you guys and how difficult that was, because these are perennial FCS powers that we're dealing with here.
So you're definitely right. Those teams are definitely powerhouses. And you're right again. I assume a lot of people don't realize that. It's honestly, especially Monmouth, I think they're definitely underrated. I feel like they're a top 10 team for sure. Again, they only played about 5 games. So, I mean, if they would have played more than 5, they could have had a higher seed. But to get to the base of your question, honestly, so we didn't have we lost 2 coaches opening week. We don't have a locker room. We don't have a facility. We don't have a training room. So really, it just narrowed it all down to just football, right? And passion is a really good word to describe this squad. And it really just, it was extremely humbling. We had to do our own laundry here in our apartments. We had to walk over with our pads and helmet. And it really just stripped everything down to just, doing what you love and playing football. And we were, at the end of the day, just grateful to be able to go out there and play a game after practicing since last year. So, looking at the teams that were up ahead next week that we would play against, we definitely thought about it. But like I said, everything being stripped away from us really just condensed the season down to one thing, and it was passion. And I think that's what got us through it all.
Well, I guess you could say not necessarily limited distractions, but your whole mind could just focus solely on football. I mean, if
right.
I'm correct on that, yeah. I mean, and so before I dive into the FCS spring season and stuff, I like what you mentioned there. You didn't have a locker room, and you didn't have all the fancy facilities and stuff like maybe some other programs had. What would you say, Noah, is like, a lot of people tend to write off the FCS. They put them on the back burner, especially in the fall. Everybody's so focused on FBS football. So I guess first off, what it was like kind of having all eyes on you, not just on Sam Houston, but just the FCS as a whole. And then what you would say to people that aren't buying into the FCS, the people that aren't really all that into that. Because, I mean, as you and I both know, it's just as physical, it's just as important, and just as fun as FBS football is.
Right. I mean, arguably, in my opinion, it's more fun because, the whole bracket and stuff like that. But back to the exposure, it was definitely a great feeling, you know? I mean, my friend is in Cancun right now, and they're playing our game. And it's like, what? We went from no exposure to having all of the exposure. I think it was a good thing that FCS played in the spring because, like you said, FCS typically gets put on the back burner. I guess I'm not really sure why. I mean, FBS plays in the same time, but I don't know. Yeah, the exposure was definitely awesome, and it was definitely there. And I'm not sure if it helped us, but it definitely didn't hurt us knowing that there were thousands of people supporting us and watching us every game and coming to the games too.
You were talking, Noah, about just everything y'all went through in the spring, and I have to ask you from a player standpoint, did you enjoy? I know you liked the exposure. You were talking about having all eyes on the FCS and everything, but from a player, did you enjoy playing in the spring versus the fall? And then I guess on top of that, what are the thoughts, I guess, around you and your teammates about having just won a national championship in May? And like you told me earlier, you're going to have to turn around about a month and a half or so and start prepping for the fall. You're not getting a very long off season. So I guess the challenges to come with that, and do you prefer that?
Well, personally, I definitely enjoyed the spring season. I'm not a big fan of the cold weather, so that definitely helped in that choice. But it fell off not having football in the fall like it's always been, you know. And again, like you said, a big downfall of playing in the spring is you have to turn around a month and a half later and have a whole nother 10-game season, which isn't easy on the body, especially with the linemen, the people that are out there all the time. Surprisingly, they are ready to get back to work. There's some of them on the field every day, working out, doing drills. And of course, there's some that are lagging and want a break and stuff, which is okay. I mean, everyone needs a break, but there's a lot of these guys are just ready to get going. I mean, there's some players, specifically Eric Schmid, that needs a little recovery time. But yeah, man, I definitely enjoyed the spring season a lot. Two big pros are the weather, which I like, and like I said, all eyes were on us, and I think that helped us in the end.
So if you had it your way, would you move the FCS permanently to the spring?
As of right now, yes, I would. Yes.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. So
I would, yeah.
All right. I think it's probably 50-50. I mean, and you would do that obviously if that meant you didn't have to play in the fall, right? I mean, it'd be one of those things
right.
where stick in the spring. So are you looking forward to? I mean, less downtime. You get to get back out in the field a lot quicker, but obviously less recovery time. And I know you talked about some of your teammates that are right back out there working now. Some are taking some time off. But for you, are you looking forward to that, or are you like, geez, man, I wish I had a longer off season like everybody else?
Yeah. Well, the life of a specialist is definitely different from the other athletes. So we go to practice and we have one really short explosive movement that we do repetitively over and over and over again for years. And so I'm not going to lie, snapping every day for an hour and a half for nearly a year was a little bit taxing on my body, especially the hamstrings for sure.
Sure.
But, yeah. So it was fun, but the recovery will definitely play a big role for the fall season. I'm hoping it plays less of a role than what most people expect, but it was fun.
I mean, I think we as fans personally really enjoyed that too. I mean, we're not the ones that are taking the toll on our bodies or anything, but to get to have football in the fall, then to turn right back around, have it every Saturday, mostly in the spring through May. Yeah. Obviously thrilling for us that we don't have to go through a long off season with you guys either. We can turn right back around the fall and start enjoying it. And so, Noah, I've got 2 questions left for you, and they're both a little kind of fun, I guess. But the first one is, a lot of people don't talk to specialists, and I'm sure you know that, you don't see many people crowd around kickers or punters or deep snappers, things like that. So for our viewers here and for guys that maybe look at special teams and specialists, especially deep snappers, as an afterthought, I mean, what should we know? I mean, because y'all are vital to every field goal attempt, every extra point attempt, every punt, this kind of stuff that you're going through on every single play that you're out there.
Yeah, well, starting with a long snapper, a lot that goes in. Well, I mean, there is a lot that goes into it. If the spiral is off, that slows down the snap, and the edge rusher will block it. If it's not in the right spot, you don't set up the holder for a primal hold, and that messes up the kicker because it's a 3-piece puzzle. There's a lot that goes into it, but really, the main joke that I like to tell people is my goal is to have you not know my name throughout the whole entire season. Because if you know my name, that means I did not do my job very well. Kicker, it's a little bit different. Okay, it's a little bit different for a kicker. So actually, at Sam Houston, we have a kickoff specialist, a long snapper, myself, a field goal specialist, PAT, and a punter. We're all different. So it's really just perfecting a craft and muscle memory and practicing it every single day over and over and over again. And it just comes over time. But again, we are way different from the rest of the squad. And what I like to tell people, it's like they are the soldiers and we're the bomb diffusers or something. Like we're the engineers, because what we do is very, very different from what they do. Ours is a craft and theirs is a position.
I like that a lot. I really like the point you made about people not knowing your name, because you're right. That probably bad press if you're getting if they're talking about you a lot. It's probably not for a good thing, unless you go out there, make some big tackle or run a fake or something like that. I don't know, but no, I like that. I like that a lot. And Noah, I think our last question that we want to throw at you, and again, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come out here and answer these questions. And again, congratulations again on the Natty. But I think we have to ask you now. You just ended. What's next? I mean, you're a couple months out. You're the team to beat now. You got a target on your back. How do you feel about that? And what's the outlook looking like for 2021 in the fall now?
Well, honestly, personally, I like it. I like having all eyes on us. The guys are ready. They're like I said, they're out there practicing daily, and they're ready to go back right now. And we haven't really felt as much pressure as we will yet, because the season is still a month and a half away. But we play Northern Arizona week 1, and they have a timer on their website that has the day, how many hours, how many minutes, how many seconds. So you're right, the target is on our back. But I think we'll definitely thrive in the end.
Well, I can tell you we're all looking forward to it. I know it's going to be a different feel, less recovery time. The playoff will be expanded back to its normal size now, because I know it was a little bit condensed this year. So an even longer road back to a national championship. But I can tell you from all of us here at the Gridiron Nation, we are extremely pumped for you, extremely happy for you, and we can't wait to see what you guys have coming up in the fall. And hopefully, this won't be the last interview we have with you. We can do this a couple more times in the fall. But Noah, again, thank you so much for coming on. We really, really appreciate it, and congrats again.
Thank you.